Welcome to the land of bourbon and bad decisions. This is Relentless Daring, and I am your host, Howard Morgan. Here we are engaged in the relentless, daring pursuit of truth, justice, and American jackassery. Sorry about that. My volume is going to be a little wonky tonight. So, today's a big day. Nevada caucuses, the third in the lineup of what's going on with all the election bullcrap and shenanigans. And as of earlier this evening, all the big news organizations were calling the caucuses to go to Bernie Sanders. So far, I haven't been able to see delegate counts and all that, but that's really going to lead to the real question of who is going to be next to drop out. Scuba Steve, our pretty princess, has made it into the chat room here. Thanks for tuning in, Steve. For a little background information, Twitter has been absolutely a blast tonight. Our thread of mutually beloved people that we all hang out with, and we all listen to a lot of the same shows. Hold on one second. I think my pop filter just died. So if you're hearing a lot of rumbling in the background, it's me trying to take the stupid thing off, and it's just kind of shaking the mic stand. Yay, live internet radio. But Twitter has been an absolute blast. Our thread of mutual Pat Gray listeners, we were infiltrated by some atheists. Now, we're not an exclusive group of people. We love to discuss things. So now if you're getting a lot of plosives, loud popping every time I use a P, it's because I don't have a filter on my mic anymore. I'm sorry. Anyways, we were infiltrated by a couple atheists. I think someone actually drugged them into the thread, and so it's been a very fun night of apologetics. For those of you who are not Christians, apologetics is basically the art of defending your faith. And I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with people who don't believe what I do, who choose not to believe what I do. I do have a problem with being attacked for believing what I do, or attacking others for what they believe. And if you want to have a good debate, that's all well and good. Kim Lewandowski has joined the group. What's up, Kim? Glad to have you here. Man, but it was just an absolute fun time of being called gullible because we believe in some ancient sky god who sits up on his cloud and shakes a stick at us from 2,000 years ago. Fun times. If you ever want to see what an absolute cesspool of humanity, go on Twitter. It's absolutely hot garbage. Kim says she's not doing much. She's reading the atheist words from that Twitter thread. By the way, folks, if you would like to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at Real Tyler Morgan or at Daring Podcast. My DMs are open, so if you want to, shoot me a message and tell me I'm a blithering idiot, by all means, it'll be fun. I mean, I dropped the name of a horse from Westerns in the 1940s and 50s. And suddenly I'm being insulting because I said the name Trigger. Is that what we've come to in society anymore? Is that, I could have said easy killer. I could have said, hey, easy guy. Said anything, but you use the word trigger. How many people grew up watching the Disney cartoon of Robin Hood? And there's the two guards outside the jail with the sheriff of Nottingham. You had Klutzy, and you had Trigger. How many people grew up with the voice of Slim Pickens as the sheriff? Easy, Trigger. Point that pea shooter down. I mean, apparently you can't say stuff like that anymore because people get their panties all in a bunch. Oh, crap. Did I just say panties? Did I just assume somebody's undergarment of choice? Yeah, Kim grew up with Robin Hood. Hold on 1 second. I've got a dog fussing at the back door, and I don't want to be drowning out the entire show. Again, the joys of live radio. You get to let out the dogs on the air. Don't worry, I will edit that out in post. And as opposed to other radio hosts who would often joke about editing it out in post, I can actually do it because I have Audacity running and recording everything as we speak. But yeah, so Twitter has been the absolute cesspool, and let me get on my Googles here because I gotta get the I don't want that. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to pull up the Nevada caucus stuff because amazing show prep, absolute professionalism here on the Relentless Daring podcast because I don't have my stuff pulled up that I'm getting ready to talk about. Nevada caucus, if I can spell. So basically right now, every major organization is calling the caucuses to go to Bernie Sanders. Right now, this is what is coming up. Right now, there's no primary contest for the Republicans, so obviously Donald Trump is getting all 25 delegates. But here's where it's fun. The Democrats. Right now, this is 27% reporting, but early exit polling and all that they were doing, Fox News, NBC, MSLSD, as Mark Levin calls it, they're already calling the caucuses to go to Bernie. So, like I said, 27% reporting right now. With 46.6% of the vote. I'm not sure where these 27% of the precincts are, but apparently they really love Bernie. He has almost half of it. I thought my daughter was yelling at me. It's a bird in the other room, so if you hear, hi, you blame Henry. It's all him. But anyways, so right now, Bernie Sanders has been awarded 7 delegates. Joe Biden is in second place with 22.8%. Yeah, 46 to 22. That is a huge drop. Again, this is only a little over a fourth of the precincts reporting it as of the time of this recording. So if you're listening to this, say, I don't know, a week from now because you're trying to get caught up, Kurt, I'm looking at you, Kurt. I know you're there. It'll be sometime next week. I'll be seeing, it was a great episode. You insulted Scuba Steve. It was great. So, Kurt, don't get caught up on what I'm saying right now because you'll probably hear something newer by the time you get to this. Just saying. But right now, Pete Buttigieg, he's in third place with 14%, then Elizabeth Warren, then dropping down to 3%, Tom Steyer, Amy Klobuchar, Bennett, Gabbard, Andrew Yang. Apparently, there are people who are still voting for people who dropped out a long time ago. These are the same people they get a poll. It's a yes or no question, and they answer, I don't know. Wait. people are doing a research poll. Do you like this product? Yes? No? I don't know. Oh my goodness. These are the people like, well, Spartacus, he's not in the race, but I really liked his bug eyes, and I think he will be great in the White House. 18. Folks, if you're listening to my show and you've never listened to Pat Gray over on The Blaze, they're not paying me to say this. Believe me, I wish they were. I'd have at least like $5 more in the bank right now if they were. If you ever get on their podcast, Pat Gray Unleashed, and listen to it, there's a guy who works at The Blaze. His name is Jeff Fisher. In real life, Jeff is an absolutely amazing person. I see a random couple show has popped back up. I'm sorry, I'm horrible with names, so I don't remember your name off the top of my head. But thank you for tuning in. It's awesome. But Jeff over at The Blaze, he's an absolutely awesome guy. Friends with him on Facebook, on Twitter. Just an absolutely amazing person. He gets picked on all the time because he's a little bit bigger. He has a tendency to justify things that are you wouldn't normally go out of your way to justify, but it makes for great radio, great entertainment. I recommend checking out Pat Gray Unleashed from The Blaze. It's a funny show. If you're listening to me and you're not into politics, they might do some stuff that'll make you laugh. If you are into politics and someone told you to listen to this because they know you're an uber liberal and this is going to piss you off, don't listen to their show because I'm already going to piss you off with this one. But I have gone off on a rabbit trail. So yeah, looking at these returns. Haha, hot takes sell like a mofo. Yep, I love giving hot takes. I mean, that's a lot of the reason people tune into political podcasts because I want their take on something. Whether it's necessarily accurate, whether it's necessarily informed, it could be entertaining, I don't know. But yeah, so right now, with the results coming in as they are, and as I've said, all the major news outlets are calling the Nevada caucuses going to Bernie Sanders. A second place finish for Joe Biden actually kind of keeps his campaign afloat because he came in 4th in Iowa, 5th in New Hampshire, then second place here, and then going into South Carolina where he's hoping that it will be the firewall that helps, see, I'm still in this. But then you're going to start getting people like Klobuchar, who had a couple third place finishes. Warren, who hasn't finished above 4th place yet. It's really going to start pushing who is going to be the next one to drop out, aside from maybe Tom Steyer will do us all a favor and he will go away. Unfortunately, Michael Bloomberg, he's waiting for Super Tuesday here on March 3rd, and because that's where he's been running a lot of his ads is in the Super Tuesday states, as well as online. I have kids ages 8, 11, and 12. They watch a lot of kids' YouTube videos and video game stuff on YouTube, and they're like, "Who's this Mike Bloomberg guy they keep talking about?" I want to watch a movie. I want to watch this show about Minecraft, but I have to hear about Mike. Yeah, some people are odd and will listen just to be mad about something. Yes, they will. Random couple show. he is Canadian. He's not sure what Super Tuesday is. So for the international listeners, for my Canadian friends, my British friends, my Australian friends, that Uzbeki guy over there in Asia listening to me, Super Tuesday is a massive primary day where a huge majority of the states have their primaries figured out who is going to be the nominee for president. If there's a runoff for figure out who's going to be the nominee for the party, for the Senate, the House, all that stuff. It will be a blast if I decide to stay up and wait for all the returns to come in, because Alaska is also on Super Tuesday this year. And I love waiting till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning to get election results when I have to get up at 4:30 in the morning to go to work. Because, hey, you can't fund a podcast without a job. I'm just saying. And, well, I mean, I could. I need more of you to listen. Please share this for the love of God. But, yeah, I'm joking, really not begging you to share it. Please share it. But yeah, stupid adult stuffs. Ran a couple shows. Share the live show. Their show's actually fairly entertaining. You have a long distance relationship couple who talk about random crap. Although I will say they can be a little saltier. Okay, they're a lot saltier than I am because I try to keep this PG-13. He's Canadian, so he don't care. But at least you know, if he says something inflammatory, it's followed by sorry. R-rated, yes. There's a lot of A's and sorries and a boots when listening to his show, but it's well worth the listen. It's like listening to Letterkenny when you can't actually see the TV. So, plug for great Canadian television. But yeah, it's all kinds of shenanigans going on. Another huge thing is popped up in this week. We admit it. We come on at 12:30 a.m. Kids should be sleeping. Yes, yeah, I know they should be sleeping. I'm pretty sure I made him laugh at my making fun of Canadian accents, but yeah, I'm from Missouri. We don't know what our accent is. We could be Appalachian or Appalachian. I really don't know. We could be from the Southeast. We could be from Texas. We could be, we've got some North Dakota people around here, don't you know? So, I mean, Missouri's just this really, really weird accent collection where you hear someone talking, you kind of have to guess. I mean, you have someone who lived in the state their whole life, and you would never know they're from here. It's like, why doesn't he pronounce his R's? Is he from Boston or something? Yeah, I just drive my car down to the bar, go in and have a couple beers. Yeah, then they took my khakis from me. I didn't know I was going to get home. Kim says, all I know is in Wisconsin has their own speak, hence the word bubbler. Yeah, but I know what a bubbler is, also known as a water cooler or even a water fountain because it bubbles. Yeah, I am correct, as always. So, another huge thing that popped up in the news this week, I'm going to get to. So, people started freaking out because an anonymous source has informed the House that Russia really wants Donald Trump to be reelected, because Donald Trump is just so friendly to the Russians. In fact, he is so friendly to the Russians that he implemented stronger sanctions against Russia than Barack Obama did. When Ukraine said, hey, can we get some military aid? We sold them Javelin missiles. Yes, that's right. As opposed to the Obama administration, who sold them blankets because blankets are so great at defeating Russian armor, we actually gave them, lethal military aid. And there's the whole thing that Donald Trump withheld funds for like 3 weeks. I'm not getting into that mess because my brain is still recovering from the Democrat-induced aneurysm over what even John Bolton has called a politically motivated, I have the article, but is this completely congressional malfeasance? That's what he said, congressional malfeasance. And this is from a guy, and John Bolton, I don't have the article pulled up, he said that whether he testified or not, while he believes what Donald Trump did was wrong and it was possibly impeachable, the way the House went about it guaranteed that if John Bolton had testified, Donald Trump still would not have been impeached. And that's saying something when the most dangerous mustache in the world says that, I had a lot of insight I could have offered, but they screwed the pooch so badly that there is no way in God's green earth the conviction would have gone through. And, this is where one of those things where we say, impeachment, conviction, blah, 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 blah. I think it's, I've changed my way of thinking on all the impeachment stuff after this most recent round. I don't think we should look at an impeachment as the president has been indicted of a high crime or misdemeanor, and now it's going to go to the Senate for trial. I think it should be looked at as the indictment process is the House Judicial Committee or the House Intel Committee, whatever, who comes up with, did the president do something worth trying to throw him out of office? There's your indictment. Then it goes to the House, and then the House has their hearings, and then basically the House is the actual trial. Oh, he was indicted. He was convicted in the House of this crime. And then the Senate is like going in front of a separate jury for sentencing. Well, they said he did it, but how are we going to punish him? No punishment? We're going to kick him out of office? Are we going to kick him out of office and ban him from running for office ever again? Are we going to ban him from running for re-election? It all depends on how they want to go about it, but that's just kind of my slightly off-kilter take on the whole impeachment process. But anyways, so an anonymous source has told the House that Putin wants Donald Trump to be re-elected. Okay. And then it comes out also that members of the Intel community have also informed Bernie Sanders that Putin wants him to win the Democratic nomination. Yeah, this is a good night for that little soundbite because I just keep using it. But oh, wait. I'm talking Russia stuff. I have to do this. All right, so I want to talk a little Soviet stuff over the Soviet national anthem because I can. So, anyways, this is a Washington Post article. Bernie Sanders briefed by U.S. officials that Russia is trying to help his presidential campaign. And this was just released yesterday. Putin doesn't care who's in office. Putin is having fun watching us go each other while kick back with pop. Yes, that's the biggest thing is that the Russians really don't give a rat's behind because Bernie stands to salute the Russian flag. He loves bread lines. Yes, he does. And borscht. I'm sure I've heard that he loves the beet soup. But anyways, look at the article. U.S. officials have told Senator Bernie Sanders that Russia is attempting to help his presidential campaign as part of an effort to interfere with the Democratic contest, according to people familiar with the matter. President Trump and lawmakers on Capitol Hill also have been informed about the Russian assistance to the Vermont senator, whose people said, speaking on the condition of anonymity, to discuss sensitive intelligence. I'm trying to see what those clapping emojis. I really can't tell because I have half my screen devoted to my Audacity recording this, and then the other half to the screen. So anywho's, President Trump and lawmakers of Capitol Hill also have been informed. Condition of anonymity. Because no one will ever come out and say who the hell they are. No one wants to be the one who got in trouble because, I'm Bob, and I decided that I needed to tell everyone what was going on here. Yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. It is not clear what form the Russian assistance has taken. U.S. prosecutors found a Russian effort in 2016 to use social media to boost Sanders' campaign against Hillary, part of a broader effort to hurt Clinton, sow dissension among the American electorate, and ultimately help elect Donald Trump. Which, ultimately, I don't think he was trying to help. They were trying to help Donald Trump at all. It's just one of those things where whoever was going to be leading whichever party, that's who the Russians were going to, quote, help, end quote. Because, as Steve has pointed out here in the chat box, Putin don't care. Putin is like the honey badger. I'm not going to finish that quote because it's possibly trademarked, and I really don't want to get sued. But also because, Putin's also a former KGB agent, and I like having my head on its shoulders. It's much more comfortable to have my head still attached without any additional holes, without any polonium being injected into my body, nerve agent being spread on my door handles, stuff like that. I don't carry atropine injectors these days. So I don't care, frankly, who Russian President Vladimir Putin wants to be. Oh, wait, hold on. This is a quote from Sanders. I don't care, frankly, who Putin wants to be president. My message to Putin is clear. Stay out of American elections, and as president, I will make sure that you do. End quote. I know, it's a horrible Bernie, but, it's the best I can do. Leave me alone. I have things I have to do to keep food on my table, so I can't spend all day learning how to do a good, angry Jewish old man from Brooklyn. It's awful. I know that I can't do that. But anyways, I will take a quick break, and I will be back right after this. Do you love what you hear on the Relentless Daring podcast? Do you want to show the world your support for this podcast? This is Tyler from Relentless Daring, asking you to go to shop.spreadshirt.com/relentlessdaring and check out our merchandise there. We have t-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee cups, travel mugs. Go there, check it out, and use it to show the world your love of this podcast. And as always, stay relentless. All right, so come back after a quick break. So I have to do this before I go on. Ladies and gentlemen, I am happy to announce I have my first sponsor for the show. I don't have any applause. Son of a gun. But anyways, I do have a sponsor for the show. My sponsor for the show is Cedar Hill Woodworking out of Copperas Cove, Texas. Is a small veteran. Yay! Congratulations. Thank you, Kim. Is a small veteran-owned woodworking company out of Copperas Cove, Texas, in the beautiful, I use that term loosely, Fort Hood community. It's owned by one of my buddies, Zach Norman. Great guy. I was in the Army with him for several years, and well, when he got out of the Army, he decided, what's something I really like that I can, go into to, kind of, help make money and, as a little side hustle. And so he started doing a little bit of woodworking here and there, and then he invested in a laser engraver and later a 3D printer. And so now what Cedar Hill Woodworking does is he makes a lot of stuff for tabletop gaming, especially for Dungeons and Dragons. He makes little containers that you roll the dice in, that you can store your dice in. He makes terrain models you can use for things like Warcraft, for D&D. If you're wanting to do that, he can 3D print little characters, monsters and stuff that you can use for your gaming setup. It's absolutely awesome. If you're interested in any of his stuff, you can go to Etsy. Go to Etsy.com and search Cedar Hill Woodworking, and you can look for his store there. Absolutely great guy. He's currently working on getting some stuff to sell, in the merch shop. It'll probably be through Facebook or something like that, just because I'm still working on getting some stuff set up where I'm selling directly off my webpage. But once that's up and going, it's going to be really neat. I'm waiting to start seeing some proofs come back on that. But yeah, check out Cedar Hill Woodworking on Etsy or on Facebook. You can find them there as well. So, yeah. Yay, I have a sponsor. Woo! But anyways, going back into this, so we know that Russia is always going to be getting and sticking their nose into other countries' business. And I say that because we have a really bad habit of sticking our collective nose into other countries' business. We like to go and we pick the dictators we like. Hey, you know what? That Saddam Hussein guy, he's fighting the Iranians. They took over our embassy. Screw those guys. We're going to back Saddam Hussein. Hey, that Osama bin Laden guy over there in Afghanistan, that Saudi. Yeah, the tall, skinny one. Yeah, let's give him money and CIA training, and we're going to help him and his Mujahideen fighters fight the Soviet Union. Yay! Hey, that guy leading the nationalist takeover of Chile. What's his name? Pinochet. Yeah. He has a really great platform. It's a free helicopter rides for commies. Granted, they don't land in the helicopter. They just kind of land without a parachute after falling from the helicopter. But he loves to give state-sponsored helicopter rides to the commies. So we're going to back him. we backed the Contras in Nicaragua, and it turns out that the Contras weren't exactly the nicest people in the world. Yeah, they were of all the butchery that the Sandinistas, that New York Mayor Bill de Blasio supported, as bad as the Sandinistas were, the Contras were equally awful. Yet, we had the whole Iran-Contra scandal where we were selling extra tow missiles to another country, and then we were giving that money to the Contras to support their war effort. Yeah, I could probably do an entire hour show on the Iran-Contra scandal, but it would involve a lot of research. I just don't have time for that kind of stuff. So we know Russia was getting involved. In the 2016 elections, they spent less than $100,000 doing Facebook ad buys for various things. Roosevelt and Churchill alliance with Stalin. Yeah, that was one of those. That we needed at the time, although we really didn't want to. Of course, then again, oh my goodness, apparently the neighbor dogs have got my dogs upset, and so you're probably hearing them. And I just took a break. I'm pretty sure in World War II, if a certain fascist dictator, I'm using air quotes around that, hadn't sided with Hitler, he may have sided with us. But, that's looking at Mussolini from, 70 years later. But anyways, the way we tend to ally ourselves, Mussolini had a lot of respect for Roosevelt. And oddly enough, so did Hitler. But I'm pretty sure that if we had gotten involved with Europe earlier in the war, say, before the invasion of Poland, we may have been able to get Mussolini on our side, but I really don't know for sure. This is just, like I said, retrospect, looking back at, pre-World War II, 70 years later, 80 years later, so. But yeah, so the Soviet Union was, screw those Russians. So Russia spent, I think it was less than $100,000 on Facebook ad buys. And they did ad buys that were pro-Trump. They did ad buys that were pro-Hillary. They did ad buys that, according to this article, were pro-Bernie. And they're doing it again. Now, there are those on the left who are coming out and saying that it's absolutely imperative that, we know who's buying these ads, or social media. Social media shouldn't be a place to do political advertising. But then again, if Twitter is going to say, that's political, we're not going to do it. I mean, as long as they're doing it for everybody, it should be fine. Although, I did see an article where it said certain types of journalistic articles could be viewed as being political advertising for Donald Trump. Therefore, it shouldn't be allowed to be shared on Twitter. Bum, bum, bum. Which, Speaking of things being shared on Twitter, there's a it was a Swiss court decided that, if you share something or like something on Twitter, you can be charged with hate speech. Wait, what? Yeah. They determined that a court has ruled in Switzerland that if you like or share a post on Facebook or Twitter that is derogatory and defamatory, inflammatory, racist, xenophobic, yada yada yada, blah blah blah, you can be charged with committing a hate crime or using hate speech, because that's what everybody needs, is the thought police coming in going, just because I'm liking this doesn't mean I'm necessarily endorsing it. I think more people should see it because it raises awareness to an issue, whether it's, hey, I'm sharing this because this is horrible, disgusting. I think everyone should see it, so they should stay away from XYZ group, person, organization, blah, 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 blah. But, I don't necessarily, just because I'm sharing it does not mean I agree with what's being said. And court rulings like that overseas are going to be used to, well, look what they did over there. They said it was wrong. Well, yeah, it's wrong, but, First Amendment, free speech. And then Facebook, well, we're not with the government. If we want to censor what you're saying, we can do it. And we're going to deplatform you, and you will have no repercussions. But that's a whole nother show. In fact, I know I did that show because it was shortly after a wonderful, wonderful exchange with a certain libertarian ? Journalist. I really don't know how he would fall, but I'm not going to drop his name just because, I'm better than that. So anyways, the disclosure of Russian assistance to Sanders, there's a lot of S's, follows a briefing to lawmakers last week in which a senior intelligence official said that Russia wants to see Trump reelected, viewing his administration as more favorable to the Kremlin's interest because he wants to be non-interventionalist. He doesn't want to get involved and stick his nose and start getting into proxy wars with Russia. But I digress. According to people who were briefed on the comments in that closed hearing, the House Intelligence Committee, lawmakers were also told that Sanders had been informed about Russia's interference. The prospect of two rival campaigns, both receiving help from Moscow, appears to reflect what intelligence officials had previously described as Russia's broader interest in sowing division in the United States and uncertainty about the validity of American elections. So, again, thank you, Washington Post, for actually saying something accurately. Something that people have been saying for 3 friggin' years. Is that, yes, we know Russia is involved. But they're doing this on both sides because they want to see us in chaos. That's what they live for. And, here on our side of the argument, the right side of the argument, and I say right, meaning politically, not we're correct and you're a big bunch of stupid morons. On the right side of the argument, we'd been saying, well, Russia is doing this to both sides. It's not just us. It's not just Donald Trump they're supporting. They're buying ad buys. They're doing ad buys for Black Lives Matter and Police Lives Matter for both sides. That way they can get people on both sides of the issue all riled up and fighting amongst each other, and then they just sit back and watch us tear ourselves apart. Abraham Lincoln famously said that a nation divided against itself cannot stand. In his context, it was part of a broader speech about, we can't have a nation where half of it says slavery good and the other half says slavery bad, and then fight amongst ourselves. Kim was just going to say that. The greater context of, a nation fighting itself over slavery, that's where Lincoln's philosophy was coming from. But, that's what Russia is trying to get us to do today. And it doesn't help when you have, candidates who are backed by the Democratic Socialists of America. The DSA is a bunch of hot garbage. I mean, you can point out failures in their logic, in their own misunderstanding of the of socialist tenets, and they act like you're just trying to gaslight them, and that no, that's not what socialism is about. Socialism is when people get on social media and they speak to each other like that, or that they are socially engaged and aware. And it just sounds like every bad man on the street interview where they ask, what is socialism, you've ever heard. The only thing they really seem to agree on is that we should tax the rich and give everything to the poor because Robin Hood is the way to go. Fun fact, Robin Hood stole from the corrupt government and gave back to the people who the corrupt government stole from. Robin Hood was more libertarian than he was a Fabian socialist. So at a rally Friday in Nevada, Trump called reports that Putin wanted to help him, quote, disinformation, end quote. Wouldn't he rather have Bernie, who honeymooned in Moscow? Trump asked, referring to the senator's travels in the former Soviet Union. I mean, we know that Bernie loved the youth programs and the public transportation with the beautiful chandeliers, because, who doesn't have chandeliers in their metro station? Just saying. Now, Sanders told reporters Friday that the Post report was published that he received the briefing about a month ago. Asked why he did not disclose the briefing publicly, Sanders replied, quote, because I go to many intelligence briefings, which I don't reveal to the public, end quote. And, okay, and being a guy who's held security clearance in the military, who's been privy to classified teleconference calls, video teleconference calls, I understand that there's a level of, I'm not going to divulge this because it is against the law. But at the same time, if you're a presidential candidate and you get told, hey, this country over here, while we hold them as somewhat of a threat, and they're not actually engaged in a hot war with us, they're trying to have an influence on the outcome of your election. They're doing ad buys in your benefit. Wait, why wouldn't you tell the public, as much as you could without, violating any laws? I mean, it sounds more like, Bernie was trying to keep it under wraps until someone leaked that information. Or until an advisor said, Senator Sanders, you might want to tell people about this, or else they're going to think you're hiding it. Which I think he was until, someone tipped off the Washington Post. Possibly a member of the intelligence committee that was there and heard the briefing, and I'm willing to bet was told, hey, this is going on both sides, and we can demonstrably prove it's going on both sides. But, at first is just the Donald Trump stuff that was released, and then a Republican on the committee came out and released the other half. Donald Trump, he seems to lead to he seems to go with the idea that possibly his soon-to-be former director of national intelligence possibly said that in a move of being vindictive, because he and Trump don't get along very well. And now German Ambassador Richard Grenell has been nominated to fill the DNI role. And, good for Richard Grenell. I think he'll be great at that job. He'll be the first cabinet level official who's gay. I mean, I suppose I'm supposed to be upset with that. I mean, I am a conservative, and we're supposed to just be hateful hate mongers and just not be happy and be homophobes about. But I mean, I remember being in Afghanistan meeting Secretary of the Army Eric Fanning. If you don't know, Eric Fanning was the first openly gay Secretary of the Army. He was all right. I mean, I didn't have any problems with him. Which I should find that picture on Facebook and tweet it out where Secretary Fanning broke out the old selfie stick and got a picture of the whole group. That he came, he had lunch with us. Got to talk to him, ask him questions. He asked us questions. It was a great time. But yeah. So maybe this is being put out there as one side trying to attack the other, which plays into Putin's hands. Or in a matter of the public needs to know, we're going to disclose this information, but it seems to me more like partisan hackery, where, like I said, stuff was said about Donald Trump's campaign receiving assistance. It was leaked. Shocker. And then, wait, we're not telling the whole story, so we're going to leak the Bernie Sanders portion of it as well. But, hey, it's American politics. What can you say? And that's going to wrap it up for tonight's show. Kim, Steve, thanks for coming in. I'm kind of scared to look at Twitter right now because of the craziness that was going on earlier. I'm sure that all of my notifications have exploded. But again, thank you all for listening. If you are listening to this on the podcast, Apple iTunes, Google iTunes, Google Play, Google Podcasts, whatever you want to call it, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeart. I think I already said iHeartRadio. I'm losing my mind. Yeah, so many great places to listen to it. If you are listening to it on the iTunes, four quick steps is all I ask of you. Number one, smash that subscribe button. That way you get notified whenever a new episode comes up on either late Saturday night, Sunday morning, sometime whenever it decides it wants to actually upload the recorded show. You'll get notified. The more subscribers, the better the algorithm helps find more people like you. Next step is to give that 5-star review. You give that 5-star review, it's going to make it available to more people. And then once you give that 5-star review or that 5-star rating, write a review. Tell people that you like it. That way when it pops up that, hey, this is a 5-star rated show that you might like. Oh, well, I'm going to read the reviews, see what people say about it. Boom. Therefore, it gets them more interested, more likely to listen to it when it pops up on their suggested listening. And finally, the fourth thing I want you to do, share it. Share it with a friend who thinks like you. Share it with a friend who doesn't think like you and you just want to aggravate the crap out of them. Please, by all means, use me as a way to annoy your liberal friends. I will be honored. Also, be sure to go to the website, www.relentlessdaring.com. You can stream back episodes of the podcast. You can link over to Patreon. You can link over to the merch shop. Over at the merch shop, there are hats, coffee mugs, T-shirts, I think bandanas you can get for your dog. You can go over there. Also, go to patreon.com/relentlessdaring1. Become a patron over there. Help support this podcast. Everything that comes into me from Patreon does go back into the show. Whether it is going on, it's paying my hosting fees on podbean.com. Whether it is paying for my hosting fees to keep the website active. That's all that goes in there. It keeps everything running. It helps to upgrade. Also, I'm starting to work on putting together exclusive content for Patreon subscribers. So if you are a subscriber on Patreon, you will start seeing new things pop up for me. Going to be trying to do video a couple times a month. That way you can kind of get a little bit more insight into this. You can actually see the weird facial expressions I make as I'm trying to formulate thoughts. I have one eye crossed, the other's looking up at the ceiling. I make weird facial expressions. It's just as part of trying to formulate thoughts on the fly, so that you can actually see me talking at the wall like there's actually a person there that I'm gesturing to. It'll be a good time for everybody, except for me. I'll probably get made fun of a lot, which is cool. I can handle it. I have thick skin. So, again, thank you all so very much for tuning in. It's great to have you as an audience. Happy to do this every week. And as always, stay relentless.